In the year 1032, the Catholic Church crowned its youngest pope ever, and it nearly tore the church apart. His father bought him the position. Critics claimed he turned the papal palace into a brothel, and he was driven from Rome by an angry mob. Then he did something no pope has ever done before or since. He sold the papacy for cash. This is the story of Benedict IX, who became the youngest and possibly most corrupt pope in the 2,000-year history of the Catholic Church. His papacy was so scandalous that it helped spark reforms that would eventually lead to the conclave system still used today. So sit back and let's dive into the juicy details. In 1032, Rome was more than a holy city. It was a political battlefield, and the papacy was the ultimate trophy. A guy named Count Alberic III of Tusculum was no ordinary nobleman. As the ruler of the powerful Tusculum family, he controlled vast estates around Rome and held immense political influence. His family had already produced two popes, Benedict VIII and John XIX, both Alberic's brothers. This was a dynasty that treated the church like a family business. And now, Alberic had a plan. Why not control God's representative on earth through his own son, Theophylactus? The method was simple. Bribery. Lots of it. Pay off the right people, silence the opposition, and suddenly the rules don't matter anymore. Not even the rule that maybe, just maybe, a child shouldn't run the church. Nobody knows exactly how young Benedict was. Most historical records suggest he was about 20, though the account of a contemporary monk named Rupert Glaber claims he was just 11 or 12, a claim historians now consider less reliable. What we do know is that the Tusculum family's gold spoke louder than any concerns about his qualifications. It didn't take long for the situation to unravel. The recorded accounts of his behavior are absolutely brutal. One writer described it as if a demon from hell, in the disguise of a priest, occupied the chair of Peter. Others simply called him a disgrace to the chair of Peter. But what exactly was he doing that horrified even the hardly prudish medieval Romans? Bishop Benno of Piacenza accused Benedict of many vile adulteries and murders. The church reformer Peter Damian wrote that Benedict engaged in routine sexual depravity and hosted orgies within the papal palace. Contemporary accounts from 1040 to 1044 accused him of murder, torture, and theft, offenses so severe that fed-up Romans eventually drove him from the city. However, it's important to note that many of these accusations intensified after Benedict had fallen from power. So it's difficult now to try to distill the exact truth versus added embellishments of all the claims. What's undeniable, though, is that Benedict's behavior seriously pissed off the hardly prudish medieval Rome. But there's a twist to this story. Being pope wasn't just about religious leadership, it was about raw political power. And despite his youth and reported moral failings, Benedict had powerful allies. When angry Romans finally had enough and drove Benedict from the city in 1036, Emperor Conrad II of the Holy Roman Empire sent troops to put him back on the papal throne. Why? Because despite everything, Benedict was still useful in the complex chess game of European politics. But Benedict wasn't done making a mess. In fact, he was just getting started. In fact, this wouldn't even be the last time the citizens chased him out of Rome. In September 1044, after more than a decade of Benedict's scandalous rule, the Romans finally reached their breaking point. Again, a powerful uprising led by angry nobles and citizens succeeded in driving Benedict out of the city for a second time. This time, they immediately elected a new pope in his place, a bishop named John of Sabina, who took the name Sylvester III. For a few months, it seemed like Rome had finally freed itself from Benedict's corrupt leadership. However, Benedict wasn't one to give up his power so easily. By April 1045, he had gathered enough support from his powerful family and their allies to return to Rome with his trusty armed forces. He stormed into Rome, expelled Sylvester III, and reclaimed the papal throne for himself. This violent comeback demonstrated the Tusculani family's enduring influence, but Benedict's public approval was now at an all-time low among the Roman people. But good old Benedict wasn't done with pissing everybody off. In 1045, Benedict found himself in a pickle. He had fallen in love, and according to some historical accounts, The lucky lady was none other than his cousin. Just one big problem: popes can't get married. So Benedict faced an impossible choice: God or cousin love, and his creative solution would shock the Christian world. In 1045, after 13 years as pope, Benedict made an unprecedented decision. If he couldn't be both pope and husband, he would simply stop being pope. With the role traditionally held until death, resignation was nearly unheard of. But he wasn't going to walk away empty-handed. Benedict approached his godfather, a priest named John Gratian, with an offer no one in history had ever made before or since. "I'll resign as pope and transfer power to you if you reimburse me for what my father spent to make me pope." Benedict had put a price tag on the throne of St. Peter, and John Gratian took him up on the offer. He likely believed removing Benedict was worth any price to restore dignity to the papacy. He took the papal name Gregory VI, and Benedict walked away with the cash. For a moment, it seemed like the strange saga of the young pope had ended. Benedict got his money, presumably to finance his new life and marriage with his cousin. The church got a new pope. Everyone wins. But wait, that's not how the story ends. Within months, Benedict had a change of heart. The exact reasons remain mysterious. Did his cousin reject him? Did he simply miss the power? Whatever happened, Benedict suddenly wanted his throne back. He returned to Rome yet again with a force of armed supporters, declared his resignation invalid, and forcibly reclaimed the papal throne. Now there were two men claiming to be pope, Benedict IX and Gregory VI. But wait, it gets better or worse if you were a confused Christian in 1045. Sylvester III, the pope who had briefly replaced Benedict the second time he was chased out of Rome, decided this chaotic moment was the perfect time to press his own claim to be the true pope. So now you have three men, all simultaneously claiming to be the one true representative of God on earth. The church, the bedrock of medieval European society, was fractured. Common people didn't know who to follow. Bishops didn't know who to obey. Europe descended into spiritual chaos. Then comes Emperor Henry III of Germany to fix all this. Unlike his predecessor, he had no patience for Benedict's antics. In 1046, he marched into Italy with his army and called an emergency gathering of church leaders, known as the Council of Sutri, to resolve this mess. All three competing popes were summoned before them, and they proceeded to clean house. The council dismissed the claims of both Benedict IX and Sylvester III and strongly pressured Gregory VI to resign. Then Henry installed his own choice, a German bishop who took the name Clement II. And the reign of the boy pope was finally over. Or so it seemed. When Clement II died in 1047, the cause debated by historians, guess who reappeared? That's right. Benedict IX seized the Lateran Palace one final time, becoming pope for an unprecedented third time. It took German troops returning to Rome in 1048 to finally remove him for good. The church had seen enough. In 1049, Benedict was charged with Simon E., the selling of church offices, and excommunicated from the very church he had led 3 times. Benedict's life after pope is a bit of a mystery. Some records suggest he eventually retired to a monastery, where he spent his last years as a penitent monk, dying around 1056. Others hint that he continued plotting, though never successfully regaining power. The scandal of Benedict IX had lasting effects. Over the following decades, the church implemented strict reforms in how popes were selected, gradually developing the elaborate conclave system still used today. The scandals of Benedict IX were often cited while developing these reforms, and no longer could powerful families simply buy their way into the papacy. When white smoke rises above the Vatican today, announcing a new pope to the world, the careful secret voting process is in large part a result of the chaos caused by the boy pope nearly 1,000 years ago. If you enjoyed the video, please give a like and subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments what you think of young Benedict's time as pope.